So we're going to begin today in child's pose. If you're happy in child's pose, and if you don't like it, go ahead and sit up instead. You can move around until you feel comfortable. Eventually, have a breath in, and when you breathe out, let your eyes close. Relax your shoulders. Relax your neck. And if you want to move around a little, like if you're in child's pose and would like to press the forehead into the floor and move your head side to side some, feel free. Shifting until you feel really comfortable. And let's have a couple of slow breaths. So the emphasis isn't on the length. Just breathing in as slowly as you can, and as soon as your body gives you the urge to stop breathing in, just stop. And do the same with the exhale. Really slow. And then starting to feel as though the inhales and the exhales were kind of flowing right into each other. And maybe if you practice Ujjayi breath, you close off the back of the throat now, but only ever so slightly. So the whispers that the breath creates when you close off the back of the throat is really, really subtle. Maybe you can feel it, but you can hardly hear it. And when you find your attention has gone somewhere else to what you think or feel, just notice it and really lightly put your attention back to the breath. So we're going to keep things that simple. Slowly, slowly inhaling and exhaling. Breathing as deeply as the body wants. As slowly as feels okay. And putting very little space between the inhales and exhales. And between the exhales and inhales. And if you find your attention is quite quickly or easily moving on to something else, start noticing the texture of the breath, looking for detail in the breath. when you're ready to, climb up to sit if you're not already there. We're not going to be sitting for very long, so whatever feels easy and kind of comes to mind right away, and close your eyes again, and you'll place a hand on the abdomen and a hand on your heart, or both hands on the belly. If neither is comfortable for you, leave your hands on your legs, or even together in front of you. But feel either way, when you breathe in, a sense of expansion and release in your belly. And when you breathe out, a gentle pulling in of the belly button. We're going to play with this today. As you all know, this is not something you have to do all the time. So inhale, relax. Again, we're just playing with this today. Sometimes. Exhale, feel the belly pull in. Just gently. You might imagine, keep going. If you were to pull the belly in quite vigorously, it would be like when you sneeze and your abdomen really kind of forcefully goes in. But we're just going to gently pull the belly in, so there's a sense of engaging in some of those abdominal muscles. And note that a lot of the muscles that you use to flex your spine are muscles not just in the front of the belly, but muscles of the waist as well. So a lot of what you'll see when we go deeper into our asana practice today is side bending and engaging in the side of the body. So again, sitting in a way that's pretty comfortable, breathe in, feel a sense of relaxation across the belly and the lower back. And breathe out, a gentle pulling in of the belly. And because these tissues work together to flex the spine and to side bend, there's a lot going on here, of course, but you might also remember or even feel that these muscles don't start and stop in one specific place. Like they don't stop at the waist and the belly. They're enmeshed in each other, pointing in different directions, woven together, even on the back of the body. So let's start to feel for a little bit longer, sitting in a way that feels pretty comfortable. That sense of expansion, not just in the abdomen and the waist, but maybe even a little bit in the back. You might not actually feel anything move on your lower back, but feel a sense of relaxation there. And then when you breathe in, instead of just pulling in at the belly, feel a sense of cinching in all along the line created if you were to draw from your belly button all the way around to your back. So breathing in, release, relax. And breathe out, feel that sense of cinching in at the waist. Gentle, not aggressive. But if it feels safe and easy, maybe you're just curious about it, you can pull in, feel that sense of squeezing in quite a bit. If it makes your eyes really kind of active, if it makes your jaw clench, maybe soften it some. Breathing in, expand, release. And breathe out, a sense of contracting, of drawing in at the waistline. If you're interested or have had some experience with this that maybe you're playing with, when you breathe in, also feel a sense of release and relaxation deep into the pelvic floor. And when you breathe out, as you feel that cinching in of the waist, maybe there's also a sense of pulling in and up from the pelvic floor. I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but feel free to experiment with it. Really basically, with Ujjayi breath, if it's something you practice, inhale, release. Exhale, contract. Let's do that same thing on hands and knees. So whenever you're ready, come on up to hands and knees. You might close your eyes again if you want to. You can close your eyes for the whole practice today if you wanted to. But as you're ready, you're back pretty neutral, so you don't feel as though you're doing any kind of back bending or forward folding. Breathe in, relax the belly and the lower back and the waist, and breathe out, feel a sense of cinching in, of contracting there. Inhale, relax. And exhale, cinch in. Relax, breathing in. And cinch in, breathing out. Now let's start going into a back bend. So Make your way into cow pose, lift your sit bones, your sternum, your face. We're just gonna hold this. So don't go into your deepest one, but breathe in to relax and breathe out to feel that sense of cinching in again. Again, relaxing on the inhale, cinching in on the exhale. Relaxing on the inhale, cinching in on the exhale. Now let's do the same thing in cat pose. So tuck the tailbone, so mark your back, drop your head. Inhale, relax the waist, belly, and lower back. And exhale, cinch all in. Inhale, relax. And cinch in. And again. Again, so absorbed in the breath and in what you feel that you're taking a bit of a break from all the other stuff. One more time, breathe in, relax. And breathe out, cinch in. Now, let's make our way onto the ground and then onto the left hip. You can do whatever hip you want to. There isn't anything that you're going to need to see when you get here. So if you want, you don't have to face your screen. Make a pillow with the arm that's on the floor and the other arm, just rest that forearm down. And when you're ready, again, you can have your eyes closed for, really this whole practice if you wanted to. But if it helps you focus on what you feel, go ahead and let your eyes close. And when you're ready to, not doing anything very aggressive or intense physically, breathe in and relax your belly and your waist and your lower back. And breathe out, feel a sense of cinching in all those places. Squeeze in the waist. So if you, again, were to draw a line from the belly button all around, basically there. Inhale, relax there. And exhale, cinch in. And now this time, feel as though you could take your waist and your rib cage up off of the floor. So lift the waist and the rib cage towards the ceiling. We've done this a bunch lately, but I'm really into it. And I hope you're liking it too. Lift your waist and your low back towards your waist, and your rib cage towards the ceiling. Breathe in, relax. Keep lifting your rib cage up though, and breathe out, cinch in. Notice how this feels along the waist. Breathe in, relax your waist. Keep lifting your rib cage up towards the ceiling like you were doing a side bend or a side plank. And then exhale, squeeze in at the waist, both sides of the waist and the belly and the lower back. And one more time, keep lifting away from the floor. Breathe in, relax as you lift away from the floor. And breathe out, cinch in as you lift away from the floor. Let's do one more time. You do whatever you want with that arm. Breathe in, lift away from the floor, relax your belly. Breathe out, lift away from the floor, cinch in at your belly and your waist. And let's just roll on to the other side. Yeah, there's a lot of awareness happening here, so eyes closed, I'm encouraging if you feel safe with them closed. We'll start being a little bit more active. So the hand that's far away from the floor, you can keep it on the floor or lift it up. I sometimes like to lift it up because it reminds me to lift through the waist, but for now, we're actually going to let the whole body relax. For the first couple of breaths, keep your torso low and breathe in, relax your belly and your waist and your lower back. And breathe out, squeeze in. Breathe in, relax them. It's okay if the exhales are a little slower or longer than the inhales. And breathe out. Notice everything you feel when you cinch in. One more time, relax. And again, you might even inhale, relax all the way down to your pelvic floor, which is harder to do sometimes when you're really paying attention to it. Fully relax through your pelvic floor, which is just important as knowing how to engage it. And then exhale, squeeze in, cinch in at the waist. Now go ahead and just like a side plank, feel like you see the hip on the floor, that's going to stay down, but feel like you're almost trying to lift it up and it was stuck. And you lift through the waist and you lift through the side of the rib cage. Maybe even lift your arm if that helps to remind you to lift up away from the floor. So adjusting so you feel pretty good in your back. Breathe in, relax your belly and your lower back. Keep lifting away from the floor and exhale, squeeze in. Inhale, lift away from the floor. Again, think like a side plank, even though your hip and your shoulders down. Exhale, squeeze in. So inhale, when you lift away from the floor, relax your belly and your waist and your lower back. And exhale as you lift away from the floor, squeeze in. Let's do 2 more times, definitely 2 more. Breathe in. Lift away from the floor, breathe out. Squeeze in, cinch in at the waist. 1 more time, lift away from the floor. Lift your rib cage up, lift your waist up. Even if they're still touching the floor, intend to lift them up. Exhale, squeeze in. And then go ahead and push yourself back up to hands and knees and into downward dog. It may feel appropriate to wake up your limbs a little bit here. You can shift forward and back from plank pose into downward dog. You can bend and unbend the knees and elbows, whatever you want to. And then get back into downward dog if you left it. You can be as vigorous as you want to in your arms and legs. But inhale, relax your waist, your lower back, maybe all the way down to the pelvic floor. And exhale, cinch in. 1 more time on your own. Breathe in, relax. And breathe out, cinch in. Now inhale, lift your heels up, and exhale, drop your heels over to the left. You can take your right foot and move it farther away from your left foot. That's going to give you a little bit more of a foundation to stand on. And then shift your weight forward into your hands. So your left hip points to the floor, but you're going to lift your butt up to the air even as you lean into your hands. Breathe in here, relax through your waist. Breathe out, cinch through your waist. Make your way back into downward dog. Lots of feel on that left side there. Give it a little break. You might let your hips shift side to side some. And I'm massaging through your feet. And then go ahead and inhale, lift your heels up. Exhale, let them drop over to the right. And then you'll take your left foot and just move it a little bit further away from your right foot. So I've got my left foot to the left side of the mat and my right heel to the right side. You can play with the distance there, but then shift your weight forward into your hands. Now it's a pretty deep twist when your chest faces the floor. So if you need to come onto your left fingertips, feel free. You're going to feel quite a lot probably, either way. But inhale to relax a bit, look forward. Exhale, cinch in through the waist. Inhale, downward dog. And exhale, pause. Inhale, lift your heels up. Exhale, place your knees down, but make sure you've got your knees pretty far away from your hands. And inhale, shift your weight forward into your hands. You can take your lower legs, let them drop over to the left some, lean into your left hand and feel like you can suction the floor up into your left hand and arm. Bring your right hand to your right hip. Inhale, turn your belly and your chest to face the wall. Lift your hip up towards the ceiling. My right leg starts to hover off of my left leg, off of the floor, and I let that happen. I kind of like the way it feels. You can squeeze your legs if you want to, or you can lift your right leg up. You can even fully lift your right leg up if you want to, but lift through the right hip and the right side of the rib cage, maybe even the arm. Good. Breathe in. If it feels safe, and it probably will, relax your waist. And then breathe out, cinch it in. Go ahead and look down. Lower your right hand. Lower your right knee. Shift forward into a knees down plank pose. Look forward, like not towards the floor a couple inches forward, but towards the floor a couple feet forward. Breathe in and exhale, lower down to your belly. Place your forearms to the floor in front of you. And when you're ready to, with the pelvis down, with the tops of the feet down, inhale, lift up into a pretty easy and simple Sphinx pose. And then exhale, cinch in at your belly, at your waist. Inhale, relax your legs, which I know is harder sometimes to relax than it is to engage. Exhale, cinch in at your waist. Inhale, relax your legs. Relax your lower back. Exhale, cinch in at your waist. Walk your hands, a hand forward. And then lift the elbows off the floor. See how it feels. Notice if you feel a sense of sinking down towards the floor with your back. See if you can push your hands down and lift up with your chest some more. Release, relax your lower back. Inhale, relax everything perhaps. Exhale, cinch in at the waist. Breathe in here and then breathe out. Come on down. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, lift them higher. Keep your chest low. Inhale, lift, lift, lift through the thumb side of the hands. Exhale. Inhale, lift your arms, relax your waist. Exhale, cinch in at the waist. Breathe in again. And then exhale, lower your hands to the floor. Inhale, climb up to hands and knees. Make sure your hands are far away from your knees. Bring your knees close to each other. And then swing your lower legs over to the right. So they'll work like a kickstand. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Suction the floor up into your right arm. The whole time, squeeze your right fingers and pull the floor up into your arm. Bring your left hand to your hip. Lift your hips. Lift the left ribcage. Maybe lift your arm. Maybe lift your neck. You're not going to hurt yourself by letting your head fall. And sometimes it feels kind of nice. But I find that we pay so little attention to it. Remember, we never want to glorify one part of the body over another necessarily, especially when it comes to muscle and exercise. We want balance. So if it works for you, lift your head up a little, maybe turn your hand. Inhale, lift your hips. Maybe the whole left leg lifts up on purpose. Maybe you keep it pretty bent. On you, you pick. But when you exhale, cinch in at the waist. Inhale and exhale, cinch in at the waist. Look down, lower your hand. Keep the tops of your feet to the floor. But inhale, shift forward, look forward. Exhale, lower down to your belly. Now press the tops of the feet so firmly into the floor that you feel your knees lift up. You can walk your hands further forward if you want to. But go ahead and lift your chest up and lift much of the rib cage up too. So maybe you find the only things on the floor are your hands and your pelvis. Now, I want you to just imagine what it would feel like from here to push your hands, straighten your arms, don't do it, but to push your hands down, straighten your arms, and let your pelvis lift off the floor. What do you feel or imagine would happen in your lower back? And even though you're not actually lifting your pelvis off the floor, has what you feel in your lower back changed? And then come on down. With the hands more or less under the shoulders, push yourself up to hands and knees. And when you're ready to, tops of the feet on the floor, lift your right knee up. Left knee's down, hands are down. Breathe in, look forward. Push the right foot into the floor. Breathe out. Breathe in, look forward. Breathe out, cinch your waist. Inhale, lower the right knee. Exhale, lift the left knee. So the top of the left foot is pressing into the floor. And if you're cramping up or this is painful because of your foot shape, then don't do it. You can always tuck the toes. But when you're ready to, lift that back knee, lift the back of the neck, look forward, exhale, cinch the waist. Inhale again, exhale, cinch the waist. Go ahead and put your knee down. And relax into child's pose or downward dog. And so there's a lot of time here to fill space up. So I'll ask you instead to go to the breath. Maybe find that really slow whisper again. If you're up for the challenge, you can look for that slow whisper in a plank pose, in a down dog. Let's meet at the front of the mat, folded forward. Inhale, lift the back up, some gaze forward. Lower the fingertips to the floor and step the left foot back. Let's place the left knee to the floor, pretty close to the right knee. So you still want your left knee to the left of your right foot, but not a big, big stance. Bring your hands on top of your front thigh. Good. So if you were to look at your left leg, which I encourage you to do, that thigh would be more or less perpendicular to the floor. So not too far forward. The hip is pretty far back in space. Now lift your left hip point up and take the front of the rib cage and move it in some. This is one of those things like the tuck of the tailbone, the inside, tucking into the rib cage that's been really pushed in a lot of exercise lately. So we know we're smarter than that. We know we do not have to do that all the time, but we're doing it now because we want to see what it feels like in the left hip, in the lower belly. Lift your left arm up. So the left hip point's lifted up, the front of the rib cage is moved in some, almost like you could zip it closed. Breathe in, relax your belly, even as you zip the rib, even as you lift your left hip. And when you breathe out, cinch in at the waist. Lift through that left arm, lift that left hip point, tuck in the rib cage, breathe in, relax your belly and your lower back. Breathe out, cinch in at your waist. One more time. Now, it looks so simple, but maybe you're feeling that there's so much going on. Lift the left hip point. Front of the rib cage in, breathe in, relax your belly, your waist, your low back. Breathe in, squeeze in. And now inhale, lift even higher through the left hand, and exhale, side bend to the right. So one of the muscles that is working really hard here is quite deep in the body and difficult to feel. It's kind of near the back of the low spine. When I say near the back, I mean near the back of the spine itself. So maybe you can just put your attention there. You just imagine again, even if your eyes are closed, maybe especially if they are. The very lowest part of the spine on the right side, a muscle there that is pulling the spine down and to the right. Go ahead and lift yourself up. We're going to go into warrior two for the sheer, hopefully, pleasantness of it. So I'm turning my left foot to face the back of the mat. Honestly, you could do your warrior two to the right side if you wanted. My body wanted the stretch this way. So warrior two, either leg. You might want to remember what side of your mat you're facing though for the next side. And I know sometimes it is much better. For me, these days too, I've been really craving having someone else teach me and tell me what to do. There are times for both. So maybe this time right now, in this warrior two, you can just teach yourself. Do you want to push a little more? Do you want to do a different pose entirely? And just run some experiments. You've got a few breaths here on your own to fully be at the wheel. If you aren't facing the front of the mat, make your way there. You'll lower your fingertips to the floor and step forward. Take your time. Have a breath in, lift your back up some, look forward. Have a breath out, lower your fingertips and send the right leg back. And again, not very far. So after you make sure your knee is comfortable, toe tucked or not, having your toe tucked can affect how you are engaging your hamstrings. So do the one that feels best there, all over. And again, if you were to look at your right leg, and I encourage you to do so because you might be surprised, that thigh would be perpendicular to the floor, not dropping towards the floor, but lifted away from it. Left hand can be on the leg. Right hip point is lifting up. It's lifting up and almost moving back in space. And again, we love and will often lift through the rib cage here. It's so good in the muscles of the back. But for today, we're going to tuck the front of the rib cage in. And then as we lift that right hip point and we tuck the front of the rib cage in, we're going to lift the right arm. And then even as you breathe, even as you lift that right hip point and tuck the front of the rib cage in, you're going to try to relax your belly. Inhale. And then keep lifting that right hip point, tucking the rib cage in. Exhale, cinch through the belly and the waist and the lower back. Breathe in, relax there. But keep lifting the hip point. Lift the right fingers, breathe out, cinch through the waist. Lift the right hip point, tuck the front of the rib cage in. Inhale, relax your belly, your waist, and your lower back. Lift the right fingertips, exhale, cinch in, in. Maybe one more time. And then breathe in and relax. Maybe you still lift your right hip point, but start to side bend over to the left some. You could squeeze in with your inner thighs. Noticing if you're starting to feel a stretch in the right waist. But just imagining. You don't have to know where it is or what it looks like, but imagining there is muscle in the left side of your lower spine that is pulling those parts of the spine closer to each other so that you can side bend. And how does your lower back feel? And how's your breath? Go ahead and lift up. We're gonna make our way into warrior two. Maybe you were facing the front of the mat when we did this on the other side. Maybe you're facing the back of it. Take your time. And if you find yourself, in a sense, waiting for this pose to be over, it is because you are human and protective of yourself and your time. It's wise. But see if you can get a little deeper into the pose. Maybe just with your attention. As if the challenge of it, the sensations you feel, that's what you're looking for. That's what the goal is. That's the success. Not what happens later. And then let's turn to face the front of the mat. Bring the fingertips to the floor and find a forward fold there. You can hold on to opposite elbow and sway side to side. So when we do twisting poses, what we're often doing is part back bend, part forward fold, part rotation, part side bend. There's a lot happening. Let's really notice what we feel along the waist when we do a couple of twists now. Go ahead and connect to your breath first. Relax your arms. And when you breathe in, lift your back up some and gaze forward. When you breathe out, lower your fingertips. Send the left foot back. Bend through the right knee. Good. Inhale, then exhale. Rotate your spine to the right. Look up at your right thumb. Breathe in, relax. And breathe out, cinch in at the waist. Breathe in, relax. And breathe out, cinch in at the waist. One more time. Lower your fingertips to the floor. Step forward, fold. Inhale, lift your back up some, gaze forward. Lower your fingertips, send the right leg back. Twist to the left. Breathe in to relax, especially at the belly and the waist and lower back, and breathe out, cinch in. Keep going. Release your fingertips, step forward and fold. Inhale, lift your back about halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. And if you can, wrap your arms around your legs, pulling gently onto the legs so you can encourage a bit of a stretch, maybe in your hamstrings or your calves. You could also do this by feeling the sit bones move up and almost away from each other, by leaning through into the front of the feet, by feeling the torso move down towards the floor, not just forward, but down. And when you're ready to, inhale, lift about halfway up. Don't fold, just exhale, pause there. And then the next time you inhale, lift the rest of the way up. So let's take the left arm up towards the ceiling and bring the right hand to the right hip. Inhale here and exhale, side bend over to the right. Push your right hand into your hip. Push your right hip into your hand. And then go ahead and stand back up, breathing in. Breathe out, focus your eyes, keep that left arm up. Lift through the left knee, and then grab onto that leg with your right hand. If you wanted to straighten your leg and grab onto your foot, feel free. Start to keep lifting through your left hand, but start to turn your chest to the left. And we're gonna lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. We're not gonna reach it back. We're gonna lift it up the whole time. And you're gonna press your right arm and your left leg into each other. And breathe in, relax through your waist. And breathe out, cinch in through the waist. Inhale, press every part of your body touching another part or the floor. Press down and in. Breathe in, relax through the waist. Breathe out, maybe twist deeper, cinch in through the waist. Go ahead and face forward. Step the left foot back. Bring your left fingertips to the floor. And then circle your right arm alongside your ear and twist again to the right. Inhale, exhale, cinch in through the waist. Inhale, relax. Exhale, cinch in. And then inhale, look down. And exhale, lower your fingertips. You know what, let's step back and take a little break in a downward dog. If you'd like to go into child's pose so that you can have more of a rest there, feel free. We're gonna go through a pretty detailed vinyasa soon. So resist the urge to take one now if you can. And then when you're ready, everybody, shift your weight forward onto a plank pose with your knees down. So maybe at first you go to a plank pose with your knees up, and then you just place the knees to the floor. And when you're ready, you're going to untuck your toes and put the tops of your feet on the floor. Pressing down with your hands, lifting up through your lower back and the back of the neck. Notice your breath. And when you're ready to inhale, and when you exhale, feel as though you could drop your pelvis just a couple inches closer to the floor. And then lift it up. And then lower it down. And then lift it up. This is not for everyone. In fact, maybe it's only for you if you already are interested in upward dog. You can play with it. But maybe instead of just lowering and lifting through the pelvis, you lift your knees up. So when you lower and lift, it's a little bit more work on your arms. And maybe when you're exhaling, you cinch in at your waist. Eventually, though, release everything back to the floor. And when you inhale, lift up, cobra pose or upward dog, and breathe out here. Inhale again, and exhale, back into downward dog. Travel up to the front of your mat and fold forward. Inhale, lift the back up some and gaze forward. Exhale to fold. You can come up to stand however you want to this time. Take your time. And relax. Exhale. Inhale, lift the right arm up. Left hand can come to left hip. Press the hand and hip into each other and side bend to the left. Again, press your hip into your hand. Notice your breath. Inhale, come on back up, reach your fingertips towards the ceiling, focus your eyes. And when you exhale, lift your right knee up. If you wanted to, you could put your left hip on a wall. You could put either hip on a wall and then lift your right knee up, grabbing onto your right leg with your hand and rotating your torso over to the right, reaching the right hand way up. Hand and leg press into each other again. Right hand reaches to the ceiling. And you notice your breath. Maybe again cinching in at the waist on the exhales. And then facing forward, sending the right foot back, lowering the right hand down. And then last time, circle the left arm overhead, look underneath the arm, one final twist here. Breathing in to relax through the belly and the lower back, and breathing out to cinch in. Look down, lower your fingertips, step back, downward dog. But when you're ready to, lift your heels up and then drop them over to the left. So you've got a pretty firm stance. You can put as much space as you want to between your feet. You can lower your left knee to the floor. We're going to go into side plank if that helps you decide. And maybe before you even shift forward, you pull the floor up with your left hand, put your right hand to your right hip, and then shift your weight into your left hand, lifting your right hip up towards the ceiling, maybe your arm, maybe cinching in at the waist. Good. Lift your head some. See how it feels. Good. Downward dog. You might put your knees down first. Inhale, heels lift up. Exhale, they drop over to the right. Again, as much space as you want between feet. Suction the floor up into your right hand. Left hand can come up whatever you want to, if you want it to. And then shift your weight forward. Keep pulling the floor up into your right arm. Maybe lift your left arm. Lift your hips and breathe. Perhaps lifting your neck too. Downward dog. We're going to do one more time each side, really briefly, not for long, just to taste. Drop your heels over to the left, but then this time you can put your left knee down or both knees down. But shift your weight forward into your left hand as you pull the floor up. Now reach your right arm alongside your right ear. So you're reaching your right hand overhead. Good, lift your hips. Just see how it feels. Downward dog. Other side, heels up and drop to the right. Pull the floor up into your right hand. Shift your weight into it. Reach your left arm overhead. Lift through your hips. Lower your hand. Lower your knees. And come up to sit. Place your feet to the floor or your heels to the floor in front of you. And you're going to lean back slightly. So it's like a boat pose with your heels down. If you wanted to lift your heels up, feel free. But go ahead and lift your arms up. So you're leaning back away from your legs. Breathe in. And then make a circle with your arms. So lower them down, forward and up. So inhale for half the circle. Exhale for the other half. If you want to lift your feet, feel free. Let's do a couple circles in the other direction. So reach the arms back and up and forward and down. The next time your arms are forward, whenever you get there, heels on or off the floor, tuck your tailbone some and slowly release your lower back, your mid back, your upper back, your head, and your feet to the floor. When you're ready to. Feet down, bridge pose, hips up. Now, another pose, I mean, aren't they all, but another pose where it might be informative to relax your belly sometimes, relax your waist and your lower back sometimes, and then to cinch in other times. Just a few breaths here, and then we're going to be slowing down. We're not even doing another one. This is our last kind of vigorous pose. So when you're ready to come down, please do. Resting the eyes, doing like with your limbs. So let's bring the knees into the belly. You can hold on to your legs with your hands and rock side to side or back and forth or not at all. And then, just like when we started, roll onto your right side with your knees tucked in towards your belly. But bring your arms forward so the palms kind of come together. When you're ready, inhale, lift your left arm up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, drop your left hand over to the left and twist. Inhale, reach your left arm up, come back to center. We're going to do it just a couple more times, and then we're going to drop into the twist and stay there. So lift your left arm up, tracing this big half circle, and then dropping your arm to the floor, and then rolling back onto your side. One more time, lift the arm up, drop your back towards the floor, but then let your arm rest there. Snug your knees a little closer if you want the twist higher up in the spine. And for the inhales and the exhales, relax your low back, belly, and waist. And let's roll on to the left side. Tucking the knees in and really coming into a kind of fetal position on your side. And then inhale, reach your right arm up, and exhale, drop the arm over to the right, opening into a twist. And come on back to center. And just try that a couple times on your own. Nothing intense. But you might find that by the third or the fourth time you do the twist, you have access to a little bit more depth, maybe even a little bit more ease there. And then you can rest your back, your belly, your waist. And come on back to center. If there's anything else you want to do, go ahead before Shavasana. it might feel particularly good to stretch your hands and feet away from each other. Let your back lift up off the floor, and then let everything kind of fall and shift around so that everything feels cozy. And notice what is happening. It's been my experience that, I'm going to say most of the time, but I think it might be all the time. What happens is we do things, and this is really obvious when talking to other people, but we do things. And then later on, we use our reason and our logic to explain ourselves to kind of justify and validate. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this necessarily. But notice if as soon as you drop into default thinking, it seems like that's what's happening. You're explaining your own thoughts to yourself and your conclusions. The reasons you're so great, or the reasons you're so not great. This near constant walking through problems, if you want to call them that. And I found for myself, and I think for a lot of people, sometimes a symptom of stress is talking too much. But I think for most people, a symptom of stress is thinking too much, or at least in ways that aren't so healthy, so healing. So maybe take a moment as you rest, having done so much to understand and work through your body, to really genuinely, I know this is sometimes harder based on our stuff, right? But to really genuinely be so picky about what you make important and what you decide is true. Soften your face, your jaw, and your hands. And be so choosy about what you give your time to. Maybe you even pinpoint something that is genuinely true to you and your values, and you simmer in it. You put it on, and you just sit right next to it. Until it becomes an even deeper and even stronger part of you. And if you'd like to stay in Shavasana for longer, please do. If you want to roll around onto your side or up to sit, take your time. And have this short moment to yourself. Again, using it well. Maybe not by talking as much as by listening. Listening to what's under the words. And then if you'd like to fold forward, bring the hands behind you, have a breath in, and go ahead and fold. And thank you.